Twins separated at a young age. One of them has admiration for a particular group, while the other harbors nothing but contempt and wishes to see them dead. I'm talking, of course, about Vash and Knives from Trigun. Wait, that's not right. Well, what do you know? They're practically twins! Trigun is one of the most famous manga adapted into an anime that played a crucial role in Japanese animation gaining a greater foothold in Western television. The story takes place in the 32nd century. Hundreds of years earlier, mankind has ravaged the planet Earth of all its resources and is left with no choice but to abandon it. To this end, humanity creates Project Seeds, an interstellar operation that uses a massive fleet of ships containing most of the remaining human population in suspended animation, in search of a new planet to live on. Scientists have created life forms called plants, beings capable of emitting massive amounts of energy that mankind uses as a power source. As a side note, this has sometimes caused confusion as many viewers thought plant meant vegetative life like trees. Plants actually refers to power plants, as the beings are used to power civilization. On a planet with the right environment, plants could even generate food and water. While Project Seeds is in progress, the main ship's crew discovers two humanoid babies. Apparently, they were born as a result of plants evolving. This is mirrored in the Acolyte, because twins May and Osha were apparently conceived using the Force.
I did not bring the girls into this world so we could lose them to a bunch of deranged monks. I carried them. I created them. And what happens if the Jedi discover how you created them?
Not unlike how Palpatine used the Force to create Anakin within Shmi Skywalker. Yes, Palpatine is sort of Vader's daddy, which gives this kiss some serious Game of Thrones vibes. Because if Vader is Palpatine's son and Rey is his granddaughter, then Kylo Ren is, carry the one, Rey's cousin once removed. Who says George Lucas's Star Wars is dead? Plants have always been female, but the twins are both male, and not only more humanoid, they are sentient. The crew initially opts to kill the mysterious beings, but one member, Rem Severin, argues to spare their lives. She becomes responsible for their care, and the boys are named Vash and Knives respectively. Why would they name one brother after a kitchen utensil that can double as a weapon? I don't know. Maybe Rem saw him for the murderous little demon he is. Or maybe it's just a popular name in the 32nd century like Madison or something. Vash and Knives grow at an accelerated rate and prove to have incredibly high IQs, learning quickly about humanity, the purpose of Project Seeds, and the ship's functions. This serves as a reminder that they're not normal humans.
Just look at how big they grew in 1 year! It isn't normal!
The twins are not normal children.
Rem is a pacifist and believes that people are fundamentally good. This has a great influence on one of the twins, Vash. When the boy's hair grows long, she decides to give them haircuts. She cuts Vash's hair in the style of her former lover who perished sometime before. It's here that the differences between them start to form. Knives wants him and his brother to stay together forever, as they're the only family they really have. He does decide to cut his own hair in a different fashion in order to maintain some semblance of individuality.
What happened? Just a small change of heart, that's all. Besides, if we stay the same, there's no individuality.
While Vash cozies up to Rem's ideology of the power the human heart possesses, Knives becomes increasingly cold and calculated. He is routinely physically abused by burly crew member Steve, who is disgusted by the plants. This in turn causes an intense hatred for humanity and their cruelty and Knives, and he determines that humans are inferior, destructive, and untrustworthy. In the manga, his hatred is further fueled when he discovered there was another plant born before him and Vash, Tesla, who died due to cruel experiments the humans subjected her to. When the crew discovers a potential new planet called Gunsmoke to live on, Knives manipulates the crew into turning on each other and uses his knowledge of the ship's systems to crash the entire fleet, with the exception of the ship carrying the other plants. Isn't he just the cutest little mass murderer? While he had planned to keep Rem alive simply because of Vash's irrational attachment to her, she sends the boys off in an escape pod and attempts to save as much of the remaining ships as possible. She succeeds in saving a handful of ships, thus ensuring humanity's survival. However, this actually ended up being terrible for the other plants, as humans were now left with limited resources and drained the plants of everything they had. Vash and Knives, being sentient plants, are also incredibly long-lived. By the time they're 131 years old, they still have the appearance of men in their early 20s. 100 years after they crash, Vash visits the city of July in search of a man who is Rem's last living relative. He's even started wearing his signature red coat because red flowers were Rem's favorite. When he arrives there, he finds that Knives has murdered the man. Hoping now that every trace of Rem has been erased, Vash will come to his senses and they can remain together as Knives had always wanted. Man sure can hold a grudge. This actually makes Vash despise Knives even more, and he starts getting pretty comfortable with the idea of killing his brother. Of the two brothers, Knives is much more skilled in the use of their plant powers, just like another pair of famous twins. He attempts to activate Vash's own abilities and use them to destroy the city. Vash resists and attempts to kill Knives instead. The result of this confrontation is that Knives shoots off Vash's left arm, but Vash critically injures Knives to the point he has to retreat and regenerate. During this time, he grasps Vash's left arm to his underling Legato Bluesummers, and the power this arm grants him reminds us as the audience that Vash could be just as powerful as Knives. All he has to do is choose it. As a result of Knives' action, Vash holds a serious grudge against him and argues that the values of humanity are worth fighting for. Much like Osha, he starts to reject his heritage and the path that was determined for him.
I don't want to be a witch. What's wrong with you?
The two brothers have superhuman abilities such as enhanced strength, coordination, and regeneration. During the course of his life, Vash has been in many conflicts which have ravaged his body, but he refuses to use his plant abilities to heal himself. He chooses to live according to the best aspects of humanity, just like Osha rejects the Coven and chooses to go with the Jedi.
I told him I wanted to be a Jedi because I do.
You don't mean that.
I do. I want my own life.
Much like May, Knives becomes obsessed with a singular goal, the destruction of his enemies. It should be noted that there are some major differences between the twins and Trigun and the Acolyte, however. For one, Vash and Knives have always known the other is alive. Up until the third episode of the Acolyte, May and Osha were unaware that the other had survived. While Knives is the head of a gang, May has a master to answer to. So, it would be unfair to say that the girls are a straight-up rip-off of Vash and Knives. After all, the evil twin trope is nothing new, even for Star Wars. I mean, even The Simpsons parodied it. But there sure are a lot of similarities. Are we ever going to find out if there's more to it? Well, if the Acolyte's last episode features the women in a fierce final showdown, possibly with the use of special weapons, then it'll be certain this is no coincidence. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.